when I think about workforce equity, it's really a three-pronged issue. So the first is, if you're doing it right, then number one, it's good for the economy. Jason, to your point, the talent then is able to access all the opportunities that are going to be coming here and that are already here, both for the state as well as for the city of Detroit specifically. If we've got all these new businesses coming, if construction is happening, but we don't have people to execute that work, then it just won't happen. So it's key for the economy, certainly. The second is that it's good for business. We already know the ROI of diversity, that diversity of thought, diversity of experience, as well as our cultural diversity adds to increased innovation, which in today's business landscape is critical to be able to execute all sorts of things. I know GM can appreciate that. And then lastly, of course, it's good for people. We as a state, we know we've got issues with poverty. We have people who are what are called as ALICE, right? So they're essentially the working poor. Mm-hmm. They have money, but they still just can't make it through. And so having additional opportunities for them to have jobs, good jobs, means that it steadies families across the entire state. And so we would then transform not only individual lives, but our economy as a whole.
When you talk about workforce equity, equity leads to economic growth, which leads to health and wellness in our communities. And that's what makes it so critical when you talk about putting the effort into those initiatives that close the economic gaps. So when you look at it, and I'm going to talk more because I agree with everything you said, talk more about some of the challenges. When you think about the talent and focusing on the talent, and you're talking about closing this equity gap, I think some of the challenges are around the education. And when I say education, I'm talking about awareness and how we make people aware of what opportunities exist, whether we educate them by degree or by skill. And then when you look at it through the lens of really preparing them to be successful for opportunities. And then when you look at it through the lens of really closing that gap, it comes down to how we really wrap our arms around nurturing them through the process.
When you think on a neighborhood level, you think about the fact that the smallest businesses in our communities are the ones that define the identities of our neighborhoods. The store on the corner, the coffee spot, the restaurant that you might frequent, whatever. Like, these are the places that define our neighborhoods. And so one of the things that's really important is that those types of businesses have a pathway to even have a chance at being successful. And part of success for a business is, there's an equation that involves, like, do I have the capital for this to be successful? Do I have the people? Do I have the infrastructure to make sure? And so at the state level, the governor and I are trying to create the conditions for all the elements of that equation to be available to people, and to a broad range of people who either are or have the potential to be business owners.
I think during the pandemic, I think it had the biggest impact on women. There was a requirement of being at home, and it all fell on women's shoulders. Now the question is how do you bring them back again? And what I've seen, there are a lot of women who either are, during that period of time, started really reevaluating what they want to do. And there's a silver lining to that period of time where you really had the opportunity to reevaluate if it was really the job you wanted to be in, whether you wanted to work more at home, since that was also a possibility. So I actually think that this is really kind of one of the most exciting times right now, because the way in which people are working have changed due to technology. Depending on your skill set, you can really design the kind of job that you want. And for others, I think there's a greater opportunity, and certainly what we're trying to do at Boss Blue is really present and offer up programming, people who can inspire others and give guidance to those who are looking for a new path.
Well, it's been rather crazy, as anyone might suggest. I am a warehouser. I am a just-in-time warehouser at my company for all goods and services that are required for the OEM. And I'm responsible for the quality, I'm responsible for maintaining the inventory, which brings you into the issues that were in our face with this pandemic. I buy a lot of product offshore, and my container costs went from $5,000 to $25,000. Take it or leave it. And my customers are saying, take it. And so when you run a business, you really have to be aware of your finances, the needs, what needs to happen, and you have to rise to the occasion and figure it out.
On average, we have fewer diverse employees in the field. In the office, it's no different than this geography. I think it's 25 to 35% are women. But what we're doing, though, is encouraging particularly young women to get involved in the skilled trades. We've got the Tree Trim Academy in the city of Detroit, where we're encouraging women to be a part of that Tree Trim Academy. It's a readiness program so that they can enter the skilled trades. We are also engaging with students, a place where I'm really passionate about, STEM in general, and making sure that we reach those kids early and expose them to the sciences so that they can get interested, much less prepared for, taking on STEM careers when they become available. So I'm like stomping for STEM all over the Detroit area.
How are you doing that? You're in the schools, you have programs?
Yeah, we have programs. We are participating in FIRST Robotics. We support organizations like DAPSAP, Detroit Area Pre-College Engineering Program. We have Girls in STEM. So we're trying our best to expose young girls early to STEM education and just get them interested in experimenting. And then making sure that they get the enrichment that they need so that they can pursue STEM in college.